There's a part of you that feels like you're too much, and then there's that other part of you that feels like you're not enough. Do you see where the pull and tug of this spectrum is? And how it's leaving you not only in confusion, but in an energetic block of being able to receive what you're deeply worthy of. Now, the part of you that's feeling like you're too much, that's probably the part of you that is deeply emotional. You have big emotional responses. I know myself, like, I'm a crier. I am a crier. And it's taken me owning that, because I used to get made fun of a lot for it. I used to be put down a lot for it. And it's taken me really owning that, owning my superpower of my sensitivity, to actually come home to my confidence. To know that these big emotions, this fear of being too much, my bigness, it's not even going to be, quote unquote, too much for somebody. In fact, they're going to love that about me. And they're going to love that about you too. The part of you that's not feeling like enough, that might be a early wounding of, maybe your parents wanted you to like get an A+ when you got an A- on something. Or, maybe you were always being compared to your sibling, or maybe you were being compared to a friend. It could be a subtle experience that happened that you may not even know, that's deeply connected to why you're not feeling like you're enough. Or maybe it's connected to a past relationship. Maybe you were cheated on, and you were asking yourself, like, what did I do wrong? Why did that other person, like, what does that other person have that I don't? Right? And that's actually not the case. These are just false narratives that we tell ourselves based on how we are actually experiencing something, whether it's from the past, whether it's current. They're false narratives, not what we make up, what our brain kind of formulates about ourselves based on, honestly, a lot of this is based on early childhood foundational development stuff, right? So like, if you grew up in an environment where it wasn't safe for you to express your feelings, or if you did express your feelings, you were either scolded, dismissed, whatever. Yeah, you're gonna feel like you can't be in your bigness because it wasn't safe for you. And in your early developmental years, your nervous system is forming, and it's telling you what's safe and what's not. And you take all of those imprints and you bring it into your adulthood. That's honestly how we're all operating. But you have to come to a point where you're realizing, okay, I'm feeling like this. Okay, I'm seeing a pattern in my relationships. I'm seeing a pattern that I'm shrinking myself. I'm seeing a pattern that, I'm overgiving. I'm overgiving because, I don't want to be left. I'm not overgiving from a place of love. I'm overgiving because I don't want to be abandoned. I don't want someone to leave me again. Like, I get it. I get that those are real things, real thoughts that you might have. But, like, think about the consequences of just staying in that narrative when it's not even true. It's just what we've taught, not even what we've taught ourselves, but what our brain has taught us to be true, or what other people and, their perceptions of us have taught us to be true. It wasn't until I went to therapy that I started to see my sensitivity as like a really beautiful thing. My previous therapist, she brought up this really good point, because this is something that I brought up in my therapy sessions with her, of how like I just feel, I feel so unseen. I feel like I can't express myself, and I have all these big emotions that nobody else has. And she told me about, the highly sensitive person. It's like an actual thing where like your nervous system is literally built differently than the average person. Your brain stimuli processes things differently. You feel viscerally, right? And once I had that knowledge and I started like researching it and reading up on it, I was like, oh, like it's an actual thing. Like this is like, there's more people like me out there. And a lot of women are highly sensitive people. especially women who have been through a lot of shit, right? Like myself, right? And so when we can learn to embrace that part of ourselves and really truly like, wow, like I can feel these fucking emotions, like I can feel it in my body, and a lot of people are fucking suppressing this shit. Suppressing it and saying it's normal. When really, if you honestly, this is the ironic thing, is that like if you've been told that like you're not normal for like the way that you experience your emotions because you have big reactions, or because whatever it is, like maybe you've just been told whatever, it's like a lot of those people who are saying those things have very suppressed emotions and are judgmental, right? And so do we want to be taking advice and letting those imprints into our subconscious mind and into our nervous system actually impact how we feel? Of course, when we were younger, like we didn't know, like we're not really conscious and aware that that's happening. But now you're older, right? And like you're an adult. Hopefully you're an adult and you're watching this. And like, let's be mindful of like what we are receiving things from. Seriously. I'm gonna tell you a story. Oh my gosh, like this is a vulnerable story. This happened to me the other day, and I had to be humbled by my friend because okay, so I had seen an ex of mine, and I didn't engage, I didn't interact. I just like had like walked by. I live in a small town, and I get a message from him on Instagram, and he asked me if I was pregnant. I am not pregnant. It's very much so impossible. I have not been intimate with anybody in a very long time. But I saw that message, and I was at a restaurant where a lot of my friends work at. I saw this message and I just broke down into tears because my body's changing. Again, this is like such a vulnerable topic, but whatever, I'm gonna share with you guys because y'all are my loves. I know y'all are not gonna judge me. So my body's going through a lot of changes. I've gained some weight, and I'm so used to losing this weight, but there are some hormonal changes that I believe are happening in my body. And yeah, I mean, like I have some stress happening for myself, and yeah, like it's showing up in my body. It always manifests in the body because it's trying to get your attention, right? So this day I look cute, by the way. Like I was in like a nice dress, my hair was done, and this is the first thing that this guy says to me is like, are you pregnant? Right? And if you're a woman and you're watching this, that question is like a what the fuck question. Especially if you're not pregnant. Like who asked that? Like I still like, I mean, we're in what, 2025 right now, and we're still asking people if they're pregnant? Anywho, so I burst into tears, and my friends, thank God my friends were there. Oh, I can laugh about it now, but I was like a hot mess for a second, to be honest. And my friend, he was just like, what happened? And I told him what happened, and he's just like, Sam. And I was like, oh my God, like, do I look pregnant? Like, I just started spiraling, So, just being real with you guys, I teach about this shit, and I have moments where I don't even want to say that's a falter. I feel like that's just like a normal human response to have, especially as a woman, And I started spiraling. I'm like, oh my God, like, am I, do I look pregnant? And my friend's just like, no. And I'm like, tell me the truth. He's like, Sam, first of all, I would never lie to you. Like, I'm going to tell you. If you're asking me, I'm going to tell you. And he's like, you do not look pregnant, Samantha. Why are you letting one person fuck with your head? Someone who's literally trying to hurt you. And I was like, damn, you'd be right. Like, you'd be so right now. And I calmed down, and, he was just like, obviously, there's a reason why this is impacting you. And that's okay. But you need to remember when certain people are saying things like this to you, where it's actually coming from. Like, be mindful of like the messenger that it's coming from. And I know all of this obviously, but again, like, I had a moment, and I needed support in that moment. And I lost my train of thought. But anyway, like, we need to, guys, I like completely lost my train of thought. And I'm not editing this out either. Fuck that. But I know that the topic was around like being in your bigness. Oh yeah, so it's like, if you feel like you're too much or you're not enough, it's like, again, like, this is a huge thing that comes up with women's bodies, of like, their bodies not being enough, or they're having to look a certain way to, they're feeling like they have to look a certain way to get a certain type of man, and or to feel enough in the relationship, to feel sexy, to feel whatever it is, right? Like, I know that shit comes up for women, it does, like, let's be real, right? If we don't come back to our own love within ourselves, like, I had to do that day, and I'm grateful that I had the support that I needed that moment. Like, I literally cried it out in that moment, and then I went home and I processed it, and I just like, like, my bounce back period it's really quick now. So before, like, I would be like spiraling and like, oh my gosh. And you know what, like, we don't heal these own inner wounds that we have around taking up space with our bodies, with our thoughts, with our voice as well too, and saying what we need to say, then we won't be enough. And I don't say that from the stance of you're not enough. I said, like, we're not going to feel like that ever, and then the other person is like going to feel that. It doesn't mean that person's going to leave, but and again, like, this is just such a normal thing. You don't have to be perfect with this, but we want to make your general baseline is like, I'm fucking worthy. I'm worthy of taking up space. I don't have to shrink myself. It's like, let's just use like that example that I told you about with my ex, right? A part of me wanted to shrink. A part of me wanted to, like, I'm like, my initial thoughts, I'm like, I'm only gonna wear baggy clothes now. I'm not gonna wear tight clothes, and I love wearing tight clothes, right? Like, that would have been me shrinking. But instead, I was like, nah, I'm going to continue with my life. I'm going to continue loving on myself and my body, and taking up space. So, anyway, I'm getting tired. So I've been filming videos for the last hour and a half probably, and I need to go eat some dinner. But I hope that, I know that a lot of women are going to be able to relate to the story that I told, and I want you to know that you get to take up space whatever body that you're in, and like, your body, yes, like, we want to take care of our body, we want to nourish our body, we want to move our body, we want to feed it really good things. We want to, address like hormonal causes, like shit that I'm going through right now. We want to address all those things, but we also have to know that we are enough right now in this moment. You are enough right now in this moment. Whether you're going through shit emotionally and you feel like a hot mess, you're enough right now. You're enough, my love. You're never not enough. Okay? I love you. Come into my one-on-ones. I'm gonna fucking help you. I'm gonna help you fucking expand and take up space. And like, taking up space doesn't mean like your confidence doesn't always mean that like you're like the loudest one in the room. Okay, I'm not done recording. We're gonna keep going just for a second. And I recently went to a party that, I knew some of the girls there, but I was just like, I was still new to this community, and I was quieter, but I didn't hold back with, what I wanted to say. Like I still talking to people and having conversations and laughing, and I had such a good time, right? But there's times when I'm literally out in social gatherings where I'm just like, I just feel like just being in people's presence, and you don't always have to be the loudest one in the room. You don't always have to be on at a social setting. You just being present can be enough. And that's when like real confidence actually anchors in, where like you could just be sitting in the corner. I mean, I wasn't sitting in the corner, I was sitting at a table with people, but you could just be sitting there and just be grounded in the presence of your own self, the radiance of your essence of like you ever look at someone and be like, fuck, like that person isn't even doing anything, but them, like just their energy feels fucking magnetic. And that's what I was at the party. Like I wasn't like, oh my god, am I enough? Oh my gosh, like, I'm not talking to people, so they must think that I don't like no, like that shit was not running through my head. I was just sitting there and I'm like, yo, like I feel good with myself right now. Like I feel happy that I'm surrounded by people that I love, even though they're like new friends. And I also feel like I just didn't feel like talking that much either. And I was just like, I just get to like sit here, enjoy, laugh. It was like just a bigger crew, so everyone's like making jokes and just sitting there laughing, That in itself is magnetic, right? You don't have to be like outgoing to be confident. There's also so much power in like you holding your silence too. I'm not saying don't use your voice, but I'm just saying like there's so much in being like quietly confident too, which I'm gonna teach you about in the one-on-ones, where like you can be quietly confident or you can be loud and bold and big. Like you get to have both of those too. Like I'm definitely both of those, 100%. It just depends like how I'm feeling that day, right? So come into my one-on-ones. I want to work with you. I want to help you get to where like your own version of confidence wants to be at, because it's so different for all of us, right? So come in, like, and we're gonna get to the root cause of why these certain things are surfacing for you, but not just the why, but how we're gonna move through it on an energetic level, on like a mental level, on a somatic level. I take a very holistic approach. That's just how I do things, because that's what's helped me, and that's how I've seen like fucking amazing results in my clients as well too. So come into my one-on-ones. I have long-term mentorship, and I also have VIP one-on-one days where we get to spend the whole day together. Okay? I love you. Send me a DM on Instagram, and let's do this.